Hey, people, how you doing out there? This is Ali Rod with Wide Open World Podcast, coming to you with information to make you want to say wow. But anyway, this is part two of the 27 alien encounters. I'm gonna bring that up so we can go ahead and continue on that and get some talking between you. Also, pay attention. I may have started right off the same place, but
Communicate.
here we go.
Who
Right after
is the
we drop
intended
several
message
parts.
receivers? Could these bizarre patterns in the fields be some connection to our place in the cosmos?
You know, AI showing the truth.
If you think crop circles are bizarre, what would you think of people who claim to have had sex with aliens? Actually, it's not an uncommon report within the annals of UFO research. In what is probably China's best-known alien abduction report, farmer Ming Zhagao claims that in 2010 he was visited by a 9-foot-tall humanoid alien with 12 fingers and braided leg hair. He claims he went up into the hills to investigate what looked like a fallen aircraft when he was approached by the alien being. Ming and the alien had sex for 40 minutes while levitating in the air. The being returned that night to tell Ming she would bear his hybrid baby in 60 years. Police say Ming passed a lie detector test. In his book, Hair of the Alien, Peter Corey claims to have had 2 alien abduction experiences.
There's
The
some
primary
freaky aliens
encounter
out there, huh?
involved 2 naked Nordic-like aliens who telepathically and sexually assaulted Peter. He went public with physical evidence of the encounter, claiming to have a blonde hair strand from one of the aliens. What followed was the world's first DNA analysis of a biological sample from an alleged alien abduction experience. As would be expected, the results of this DNA analysis have been hotly debated.
Oh, yeah.
Psychic Stephanie Fake Cohen claims to have had out-of-this-world sex with octopus-looking aliens and cat people. Interestingly, or perhaps disturbingly is the right word, of this cat imagery appears in her abduction experience. In another alien abduction story, UK laborer counselor Simon Parks claimed he had regular intercourse with an alien he referred to as the Cat Queen. Parks says he fathered a baby named Zarka with the aliens. Parks also says that he himself is the son of an 8-foot-tall mother alien who had 8 fingers. Antonio Villas-Boas' UFO experience was one of the first reported examples of alien abduction. Antonio was a Brazilian farmer.
See, this is all information that was hidden. They brought it back out and they updated it with some new, some interesting AI effects so y'all can go into it. But they brought in some of the real pictures, and they brought in these are real incidents that happened. So they just brought in a little update for y'all so y'all can catch your attention a little bit more. But listen to the details of what's being said. Check it out.
Working in a field late at night on October the 16th of 1957 to avoid the scorching heat of working during the day. He claimed that as he plowed a field, he spotted a red star in the sky. This light slowly moved closer until he discerned that it was in fact a circular or egg-shaped UFO with a red light on its front. The craft landed in the field Antonio was working in. The farmer tried to make a run for it, but was captured and taken inside the UFO by a tall humanoid wearing gray coveralls and a helmet. She was naked, and Antonio was instantly attracted to her. Without speaking or kissing, they had sex, during which she growled like a dog. After the acts were over, the woman made gestures that Antonio took to mean that the act of sex was for the expressed desire to create a child. He was then given his clothes back and escorted off the craft. Antonio became a successful lawyer and always told the same account. Long before Patrick Swayze and Demi Moore summoned the spirit in Ghosts, stories of the succubus, a female spirit or demon who seduces a human male, and incubus, a male spirit or demon who seduces a human female, have held a place in folklore and mythology. But are there real supernatural or alien entities who engage in sexual activity with humans?
I believe.
Are there succubi who feed on the human life force via sex?
So tell me about it. How you guys feel about that? Do you believe that the aliens and us are having sex with these humans down here? Not only be abducted, but when they get abducted, they out here having sex too. So wow. But that's how they had these other beings. You know, they had to create another humanoid, and they wanted to mate with our race. But these are true events that are happened. They have happened, documented events. But check this out. Wow.
Thousands of people claim to have bumped uglies with demons and ghosts. But is there anything more to this other than deviations on sleep paralysis, drugs, psychiatric issues, and an overactive unconscious? There are many incarnations of these beings in different cultures. The Popobawa, a manhunter of Zanzibar, an insecure dwarf in El Traco, a Hungarian demon called Lakrik. Stories of the succubus and incubus had special incarnations in ancient Egypt, Nigeria, and India too. Later, different nations accumulated tales, and each named their own succubi. Incubi are said to impregnate mortal women, who then birth rapists into the world. This is a claim that spans the globe, remarkably often in cultures in which premarital sex is heavily frowned upon. The movie The Entity is actually based on the true story of Doris Blyther, who lived in the haunted 11547 Braddock Drive residence in Culver City, California. Blyther, who was abused as a child, claimed she was visited by ghosts who sexually assaulted her. Her children also saw the ghosts, who appeared as Asian men and called one of them Mr. Who's It. The only evidence to back up Blyther's story were bruises on her inner thighs and testimony by her children, who claimed to have seen the mom being tossed around the room.
I gotta go find that movie.
A paranormal investigation team actually went to the home and claims to have experienced a powerful poltergeist that involved orbs, green mist, and musculature. It was so intense that one investigator actually passed out. None of the high-speed cameras were able to capture anything other than an arc of eerie light. Could aliens and ghosts enter our realm from the same place? Are beings from other dimensions or supernatural planes visiting us here in the physical universe? Strange tales of bizarre encounters abound in our culture. Perhaps these visits are not as unusual as we think.
Wow. There you get stuff to make you want to say wow, man. Right off the whole podcast.
UFOs are not just a sky phenomenon. They're often seen landing with their pilots emerging to examine the area. Such a case occurred on the 14th of September in 1994. A UFO streaked across the sky over southern Africa. 2 days later, something landed in a schoolyard in Ruwa, Zimbabwe, with 3 or 4 beings beside it, according to journalist Cynthia Hind. This was witnessed by 62 school children who had little or no exposure to TV or popular press accounts of UFOs. Cynthia Hine interviewed them the day after the encounter and had them draw pictures of what they had seen. They saw 3 silver balls in the sky over the school. These disappeared with a flash of light and then reappeared elsewhere. This happened 3 times, and then they started to move down towards the school, with one of them landing or hovering over a section of rough ground made up of trees, thorn bushes, and some brown-gray cut grass with bamboo shoots sticking up out of the ground. After the craft flew away, the children all drew consistent pictures of the UFO and its strange occupants. One might dismiss the excited tale of a group of school children, but what happens when an astronaut and test pilot observes a landed UFO in broad daylight? It was 1957. Gordon Cooper was one of an elite band of test pilots at Edwards Air Force Base in California, in charge of several advanced projects.
They talk about this one a lot.
The installation of a precision landing system. He would later become one of the most famous astronauts. He had a camera crew filming the installation when they spotted a saucer. They filmed it as it flew overhead, then hovered, extended 3 legs as landing gear, and slowly came down to land on a dry lake bed. The film crew were all professional cameramen, so the picture quality was very good. The camera crew managed to get within 20 or 30 yards of the UFO, filming continuously. It was a classic saucer, shiny silver and smooth, about 30 feet across. It was clear this was an alien craft. As they approached closer, it took off. When his camera crew handed over the film, Cooper followed standard procedure and contacted Washington to report the UFO. A high-ranking officer ordered Cooper, when the film was developed, to put it in a pouch and send it to Washington.
Never saw it no more after that.
Cooper watched the film, and the craft was clearly visible in the footage. When the Air Force later started Operation Blue Book to collate UFO evidence and reports, Cooper says he mentioned...
Now, this is crazy. This was a true event. This is a true event. This happened way back in 1957. So how long they been sitting on this stuff, man? Forever. Forever. So, man, when you think about it, they've had this information all along and just been keeping us in the dark. But it's all this is about to come out in the open now. But now this is just more information to get y'all informed that this is what they've been hiding. Hello,
the film evidence. The film was never found.
Yep,
Project Blue Book and the government had covered up the whole incident. Why has the government kept its UFO secrets for so many years? Why cover up the most extraordinary evidence of a landed UFO from the public? A very credible UFO encounter occurred in the small town of Delphos, Kansas in 1971. This case has never been debunked and is still considered as one of the very best physical trace cases involving a UFO landing. 16-year-old Ron Johnson, along with his dog Snowball, was tending the family sheep when his attention was suddenly drawn to a mushroom-shaped UFO appearing in the night sky. The flying object, metallic with multicolored lights, was hovering approximately 75 feet away from Ron among some trees. Johnson estimated the craft was only a few feet above the ground. He estimated the craft's diameter at 6 to 8 feet. Ron described the craft as making a loud sound, like an old washing machine which vibrates. The glow of the object's bottom increased as it began to rise into the sky. He ran back to the family house to alert his mother and father. The bright glowing object was now even higher in the sky. Ron's parents came running around the side of the house to get a glimpse of the unusual phenomenon. They arrived just in time to see the object, now big as the full moon, as it disappeared from view. The three Johnsons were shocked to see a glowing ring on the ground, right below where the craft had hovered. There was also a glowing material on some of the trees nearby. After touching the ring, Ron's mother's fingers went numb, like she had been given a local anesthesia. After they were sure the craft was not returning, the family settled down for the night. The glowing circle remained overnight. Investigators took soil samples and determined the soil was severely dehydrated and would not hold water. Nothing would grow in the affected area as well. The unusual landing ring remained for several months after the encounter.
Wow.
Weird and unusual UFO landings have occurred multiple times in modern times.
You're quiet.
Perhaps as the aliens arrive at our world, they cannot help but affect the areas they visit, and each time they land, they leave further evidence of the reality of UFO encounters.
Oh, it's been real. That's deep. So this is the cover up by the government. They're going to keep hiding this until they bring this
It's one
forth, but they're
thing
trying to
when
bring it
one
out
or
in Congress
two people
now, though.
observe a UFO, but when hundreds, even thousands of people witness UFOs, it's hard to ignore. Multiple
Now you see that?
mass
They just said we're going to bring out more and more UFOs going to happen. They will not be able to ignore it. That's why you're seeing what's happening now. Hello, people. The drones and the orbs and everything, those are still going on. They was just told not to report about it no more. Because now the next time we want to catch you guys was going to be off guard with the fake alien invasion to make it look like a fake rapture or some bull crap. They got to try to bring tie the church in this somewhat kind of way so they can follow a little narrative that they created for y'all to believe in. We got to get this close as possible as to what we've been telling these fools down here in this book. Trying to keep it as close as possible for them, So we got to come up with a fake alien invasion or some fake something to make it look like a rapture or something. They've got the craft and the reverse engineer craft and all that stuff like that to do stuff like that. So get ready for some astronomical freaky stuff out there that's going to be happening in the skies. Y'all get ready for that. But back to the video. Here we go.
UFO sightings throughout history have given pause to more than a few skeptics. They occur more frequently than you might imagine. On November 2nd in 1957, a fiery object was seen over Texas. At about 11 p.m. that evening in the town of Levelland, Texas, police received 15 frantic phone calls from local residents about a mysterious object in the sky. In an Associated Press account, one of the witnesses, a 30-year-old farm worker and Korean War veteran, described the object as a flash of light flying overhead with a rush of wind, and said that it had apparently caused the lights and engine of his truck to go dead. Other witnesses described the craft as blue and green and egg-shaped, and said that it abruptly morphed into a fireball before rising.
Hey, you ever wondering why in these alien movies now, when the spaceship comes up or comes around anything like a car or anything like that they automatically die out, just like it says, all this stuff that happens? They had to come from somewhere. right? In order for them to make the movie. So they had to come from them document occurrences that was done, that was previously documented. See, some of that stuff leaks out to the government. They had to use one of those events. I believe is the one with the spaceship landing. That one they're going to use as that was the Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Yeah, go back and look at the movie. You'll see about that. They just placed the landing at the Devil's Tower, which happens to be in Wyoming. That big old tower that looks like a mountain, which is actually a cut off tree. That's a tree stump, an ancient tree stump. That's for another podcast about those ancient trees that our souls used to go to. It's deep because another alien race came in and took control of that, cut down the trees, and our souls are going straight to the light. That's another controlled situation. But it's deep. But no, hell is not real. But that's another podcast too. Let me stick with this one podcast. Okay. Let me stick with this one podcast. Here we go. Continue.
Straight up and disappearing. In March of 1983, V-shaped lights were seen in the Hudson Valley.
83.
The suburban area about an hour's drive north of New York City was the scene of more than 5,000 UFO sightings from 1982 through 1986, perhaps one of the biggest clusters of incidents in history. One night on March 24th stands out because of the sheer volume. More than 300 residents called a local UFO organization's hotline that night, reporting that they had seen large V-shaped array of lights that moved slowly and almost silently through the sky. Some witnesses got close enough to say that the craft was big enough to be a flying city. Hunt Middleton, a local resident who had just stepped off a bus from New York City at 7:30 p.m., described a row of 6 or 7 extremely bright lights. He said they were all blinking on and off and were red, blue, green, and white. He knew it was not any type of conventional aircraft because the lights were stationary. Middleton said that he watched the object for 5 minutes before going inside his house to get his family to come out and see it. By then, it was gone. On the night of March 13th, 1997, the Phoenix Lights made history.
Yeah, I heard about
On that evening, thousands of people in Nevada and Arizona reportedly saw what many described as an immense V-shaped object outlined by 7 lights. Others, however, reported seeing orbs and triangles in the sky as well. Police departments in Phoenix, Tempe, Glendale, and other Arizona cities were jammed with calls from residents. One witness, a man in his 30s named Dana Valentine, said that he and his father both watched as the lights passed 500 feet directly above them. He could see the outline of a mass behind the lights, but couldn't actually see the mass. It was more like a gray distortion of the night sky, wavy, he said. He didn't know exactly what it was, but he knew it was not a technology the public had ever heard of before. The military later claimed that National Guard pilots had released flares while on a training run, but not everyone accepted that explanation. No one accepted the flare explanation because they all said it didn't look like flares. The large UFO was even witnessed by the governor of Arizona.
Wow.
Then, on July 14th of 2001, a UFO on the New Jersey Turnpike was seen. Multiple witnesses, including a local off-duty police officer, watched in wonder as an array of yellow lights flew in formation in the suburban New Jersey area near New York City late in the evening and into the early morning of the following day. A short time later, at around 12:30 a.m., another witness, a police officer, Lieutenant Dan Tarrant, reportedly received a call at home from his 19-year-old daughter, who was out with friends and had seen strange lights in the sky. Tarrant told the Record and ABC News that he then stepped outside to take a look. As Tarrant subsequently told ABC News what he saw, he was astounded. 16 golden orange-colored lights, several in a V-shaped formation. Others were scattered around the V. Tarrant told the Record, a local newspaper, that the mysterious lights flashed across the sky for about 10 minutes, then faded one by one into the darkness. Texas was livid with reports on January the 8th of 2008. The Stephenville lights made worldwide news. In the evening, about 40 local residents, including a local amateur civilian pilot and a police officer, witnessed a UFO that hovered over the farming community for about 5 minutes before streaking away into the night sky.
Wow. Police
officer Leroy Gayton told National Public Radio that he was walking to his car when he saw a luminous object that reminded him of pictures of erupting volcanoes suspended 3,000 feet in the air.
Wow.
Another witness estimated that the UFO was a half-mile wide, a mile long, and bigger than a Walmart. Going back in time, on June the 1st of 1853, several luminous objects were seen hovering over the Tennessee College campus. The sun rose over the campus of Burritt College. Numerous students, who apparently were early risers in those days, were startled to see two luminous objects in the sky. According to a professor, A.C. Carnes, who reported the incident in a letter to Scientific American, the first had the appearance of a small new moon, while the others resembled a large star. The small object then vanished, while the bigger one changed shape. First it was a globe, then into an elongated shape parallel with the horizon. The smaller light then became visible again and increased rapidly in size, while the other object shrank. The two objects continued fluctuating in a familiar fashion for the next 30 minutes. The students asked for an explanation, but neither the president nor professors were satisfied to the character of the lights. While the professors speculated that the occurrence might have been caused somehow by atmospheric moisture, the incident remains a mystery.
Wow.
Perhaps one of the largest and most publicized encounters took place back on February 25th of 1942. It's been called the Battle of Los Angeles because American troops tried to shoot down a UFO in full view of the public. In the early morning hours, radar operators spotted an unidentified object 120 miles west of Los Angeles and watched anxiously as it zoomed to within a few miles of the Southern California coast, and then, inexplicably, vanished from their screens. Sometime after that, an artillery officer along the coast reported what he described as 25 aircraft flying at 25,000 feet, and a few minutes later, other observers saw a balloon-like object carrying what appeared to be flares over nearby Santa Monica. Then, anti-aircraft batteries spotted what witnesses later described as a swarm of objects flying at various altitudes at speeds of up to 200 miles per hour. Fearing that the city was under attack by the Japanese, they fired 1,400 rounds of ammunition at the bogies. But apparently, none of them hit anything, because no wreckage subsequently was found. Officials initially described the incident to a combination of false alarms and mass hysteria, but ufologists have speculated over the years that the gunners might have been shooting at an extraterrestrial spacecraft. Multiple eyewitnesses saw the object and the military's attempt to shoot it down. Whatever it was, it silently disappeared and was not seen again. No balloon could have survived the assault from the military cannons, and no wreckage nor were balloon fragments ever recovered.
Right. That's their lie.
Could
It was a balloon,
UFOs
a
have
weather balloon.
shields
Stop
or
lying.
move slightly into
tired of y'all
another
lying.
dimension when under attack, allowing their craft to be protected from harm? Is it possible they have technology or supernatural abilities that prevent them from being bombarded while in flight?
Yeah, all kind of technology. That one's at 31. This one's at 31. Catch y'all up on the next one. This might just go ahead. Oh, it's not that much longer. Let's see how much. Yeah. We just finish it out in the next episode. So, but anyway, let's come on back in. Oh yeah, this is a pretty good video. These are some encounters that you may not have known about. Something that you may have heard about a couple of them, but you didn't hear about all these. True events that happened. The government has been keeping them secret and kept them covered up. So we're going to do the last and final part of this next part, because I've been keeping them at 30 minutes, the short videos. Trying to keep it, you can watch the other half of it coming back, and then it won't be all long and drawn out. But this is Audie Rob, Wide Open World Podcast. Be prepared for part 3 of 27 alien encounters. Peace, love, and light.